Cool. All right. I am Adam Morris, founder of social enterprise Wild Tiger Teas and host of People Helping People, the podcast to inspire greater social change. People who know me know that I just love social entrepreneurship. I've been in this community for a long time. I've interviewed over 100 individuals who are creating social impact through different ventures. And what I came here today is to share a Kickstarter project that I just launched yesterday called the Social Impact Starter Kit. So what I found through my journey of talking to so many people is that there are a lot of people who want to create an impact in their community through their livelihood, doing something that they care about. And I shared the example of my friend Amanda. She runs Pedals That Inspire. So I met her a few years ago at Give Back Hack, which is a weekend launch pad for social innovation. She showed up with her passion for floral design, and today she owns a floral studio where she employs youth who are experiencing homelessness, giving them valuable work experience, mentorship, and peer support. And her floral studio is just up the road on 5th and Cassidy. It's really cool watching her grow and thrive. But I've talked to a lot of other people that want to do something similar, and so I decided to take all the knowledge I had gathered through my podcast and put together a card deck with inspiration and tools to come up with a great idea. I found a gap we have a great ecosystem in Columbus for social entrepreneurship. There's Give Back Hack, which is a weekend event, and Sea Change, which is a 12-week program it's an accelerator specifically for social enterprises. But we need something to bring in more people. And so my hope with this card deck is to reach new people that haven't heard of social entrepreneurship or ways of using business to create a social impact, to kind of get into the fold. After my first iteration of the deck, the feedback I got was like, a card deck isn't enough. So I expanded it to include a 100-day challenge to really give people some community and support and break down into small, 5-minute tasks you can do every day to brainstorm and find the idea. And then test it using design thinking principles, but in a structured way that's not overwhelming or confusing. It's my first Kickstarter project ever. I'm very excited. I've never done anything like this, so it's a little bit scary in one sense. But we had our launch party last night, and I got some great feedback. It's a great way to look at different things you can use to make a social impact, different ways that you can build a business model that is going to be giving back, and come up with new ideas. So, yeah, that's my story of what I'm doing. It's the Social Impact Starter Kit up on Kickstarter, and I'm excited to put this out into the world. Thank you. Thanks.
Yeah.
Memory Lane, everybody.
Hey, hello. Good morning. Eric and I met in October. We actually went through the Kickstarter program that Give Back Hack that Adam was just talking about. So it was interesting, and had a group of 4, and they're still somewhat involved. Want to be involved, I think, when we start getting this thing off the ground, but we'll see. But no, it's a great community. It's it's a great. We have great support, and I guess I'm just kind of going to start out with we recorded this video as part of our funding. We got a video to kind of set us up with a way to show people what we want to do and explain the process through video, because that's the part of the project. So,
what would it mean to you to have one more story from that person you lost way too soon? There's a guy in Ithaca that I used to work with named Bob Petrolis, and he would tell the most amazing stories. Every time we worked with each other, there was another story from 10, 20, 30, 40 years ago, and he remembered it as if it were yesterday, and it just brought that street corner to life in a whole huge way. And then after he retired, he was diagnosed with early onset Alzheimer's and then Parkinson's, and quickly just passed. And after he passed, his whole family, including myself, were wondering what where we were going to find those stories and how do we create his legacy. I'm assuming there are a lot of other Bobs on this planet that all of you might be caring about, and that's what Memory Lane is here for. Like, we are here to capture and preserve the stories that we didn't capture with Bob. Memory Lane is a service as well as a platform. In essence, what we're aiming to do is record and preserve stories from people you care about. Memory Lane is evolving, and we are listening to the people who care most about the stories that we're about to capture. And so we are here asking for your support to be considered one of our fundamental foundational supporters in growing this vision. So our next step is to pursue relationships with long-term care facilities where we're going to curate what we call story days. Many of us remember what it was like to show up for picture day in grade school, and we are going to explore what it means to have a quarterly story day at a long-term care facility or even a hospice facility where we know time is of the essence. Support has a huge range. You can support at the level of purchasing a mug with our logo and just let us know that you care. Or you can go all the way up to the top where we would offer to capture and preserve a story of your families, professionally edited, and will be preserved forever.
So I'm glad we took the time to share that video, because if I told that story again, I would not be able to necessarily get through it without breaking down. Bob was a tremendous person in my world and in the worlds of lots of other people. And as this idea was hatching, like, I realized that, Bob was one person, but we all have Bobs. And when we came last week, we were informed of a beautiful African proverb that says, when an old man dies, a library burns to the ground. I'm glad we waited a week to present, because learning of that expression just deepens the core of this vision. So we are in learning mode. We are, as we like to say a lot, flying the plane while we're building it. And that's why we need all of you. Our ask of you is to complete the survey that we've designed for you. And most specifically, we want to know the questions you want answers to from the people, from the Bobs in your life. And it's just really, on this journey, I went to the Delaware Historical Society, and I was the youngest person at that meeting by several decades, perhaps 3 or 4. And they were all gathered around to learn about how to preserve their family's stories. And some of them said it would be better to have someone come in from the outside to do it, because there might be family dynamics. So this is where we're trying to figure out how to kind of bridge the gaps that are out there. Because what was really apparent in that meeting is that the urgency is getting the story. Time is of the essence. And I it's sad to say, but COVID has added a layer of humility and the ability to actually talk about mortality in a way that we may not have had before COVID. So, how many of us have kind of lost someone that we didn't think we were going to lose during this past several years? And how many of us didn't get that last story? So that's what we're here for, is making sure that space is held for a very personal, tender opportunity, just to share the pivots that we've been through. When I first pitched this Give Back hack, the name for the project was called Hospistory. So the idea was like we were going to go into hospice centers and gather the history. So fortunately, I took a shower the following morning and the name changed to Memory Lane. So here we are.
And our validation was when everybody went, oh.
Right. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. That
sense.
makes more sense. So, and the other part of it is like, on the entrepreneur's journey, like, we don't want to build something that you don't want. So we want to make a meaningful, contribution. One of the ways that we want to be a social enterprise is we want to give a certain percentage of our profits to like the Alzheimer's Association, and specifically there's lots of projects that I've been involved with over the years that support the world of Alzheimer's. And so thank you so much for your time and attention.
It's not really, a lot of, I guess, end of life kind of stuff. I mean, that's a big part of it, but a story that's been impactful in my family. My wife's father was diagnosed with ALS like maybe a year or two ago. It hasn't been that long, and he's just declined. He just lost his, ability. His speech is really slow now and hard to understand, and so for him to tell those stories now, yeah, he can, but it's not going to be the same. Another great thing that I was talking to somebody about this morning. We were talking about. I was watching the news, and there was people on there, and this lady was like, "Oh yeah, I have all these recipes in my head from my grandmother." Like, how cool would that be to like have your, record your grandmother cooking whatever favorite meal was, and because there's something in there that you can't duplicate. That she's gonna forget. Oh yeah, like I forget to write down that I put salt in it or something. So just things like that. I think there's all kinds of applications for this, but this is kind of where we're starting and want to build this. To serve people that need it and people that want it. So, thank you.
Thank you.